本期亚洲经营者牛市繁荣之后，国际商品价格大幅回落，引发行业剧烈波动。
You will see the stronger companies getting even stronger, and you will see the weaker companies probably falling out.
如何在危机中生存
The first fundamental lesson is that you have to be differentiated.
专访新加坡奥兰国际有限公司 CEO Sunny Verghese， 敬请关注。欢迎收看亚洲经营者，我是崔燕。在经历了一轮牛市繁荣之后，国际商品市场价格大幅回落。面对几十年来罕见的市场波动，相关行业如何来应对？好，今天我们就来采访一下新加坡上市企业奥兰国际有限公司的 CEO Sunny Verghese。Sunny Verghese 对于商品市场典型的周期性波动非常熟悉。虽然这次危机在全球市场不断蔓延，但 Verghese 相信这次金融市场的高烧很快就将退去。
Given the unprecedented coordinated global action, financial markets probably should stabilize in 4 or 5 months' time. But the real economy is going to go into a deeper recession, and again it's going to be a concurrent global slowdown, and that probably will take 2 years for us to come out of it.
商品市场接受了这次金融海啸的正面冲击，而奥兰正处在风暴的中心。作为一家农业大宗产品的供应链管理公司，奥兰的产品涵盖 cocoa、腰果和咖啡豆等20多种。整体而言，大宗商品价格已下跌约40%。但这位 CEO 表示，公司比同业的处境要好很多。
Our portfolio has declined by about 26%. But Olam's nature of participation in this industry is as a supply chain manager. We're not a positional, directional, proprietary commodity trader. So headline commodity prices have always had minimal impact on our profitability. We're trying to capture a fee quality spread between the farm gate and the factory gate of our customers. And that is relatively inelastic and relatively immune to headline commodity prices.
同时，对于市场波动的大部分风险，奥兰已经进行了对冲。
We try and not take an exposure on 4 risks. The first is market price risk. So we don't trade positionally, directionally, so we try and stay hedged on market price exposure, outright price exposure. Only about 10 to 15% of our total inventory has a residual price exposure. 85 to 90% is hedged all the time. The second exposure that we do not take is on freight. Largely we ship on containerized cargo, and most of the freight is covered back to back. So both high or low rates, we stay neutral to that.
获得过安永年度企业家大奖的 Sunny Verghese 表示，公司的商业模式有能力抵御风险。
The first fundamental lesson is that you have to be differentiated to survive through any crisis. So you should have a differentiated business model. I think that's the key. You cannot scale a business unless you're differentiated. If you seek scale before you differentiate, you're going to struggle for profitability. The second is to be diversified. No country, no product dominates our revenues or earnings. No customer, no supplier dominates our revenues or earnings. As a result of this diversification, we are able to navigate through these times a little bit more smoothly than otherwise.
为了进一步扩张，奥兰在过去的18个月中进行了10起收购，但现在他们也不得不放慢速度。
We mentioned that we are going to take a pause on acquisitions or slow down acquisitions or be more cautious on acquisitions, largely on account of capital availability. We are able to get secure short-term money to fund 85% of our balance sheet, which is in current liquid assets. But for long-term capital investments, which is either capital expenditure or acquisitions, 5-year money or more longer tenor monies are very difficult to come by. So we're trying to put in place alternative measures to take advantage of the opportunities that are being presented now.
One of the other risks that has come about because of the credit markets and the downturn in the global economy is the risk that your consumers may default on the contracts that you're supplying to them. Have any done so, and what do you see as the future risk of defaults?
Yes, we are seeing defaults, but it is the way we manage our counterparty and our credit risk helps us mitigate that risk very significantly. Firstly, we have a...
What's the scale of the defaults?
In the first quarter, about 1% of our outstanding contracts were defaulted on. So it is small. And that is largely as a result of the fact that we have a very broad-based, diversified customer base. So we have over 6,500 customers in 60 end markets.
好，稍事休息。接下来，奥兰国际有限公司的 CEO Sunny Verghese 将向大家透露他对于大宗商品价格走势的预测。亚洲经营者稍后见。欢迎回到亚洲经营者。我们今天的采访嘉宾是奥兰国际有限公司的 CEO Sunny Verghese。他把奥兰国际从一家小型的腰果供应商发展成为亚太地区领先的供应链管理商。今天他将告诉我们大家如何来领导公司度过这一次的全球经济危机。
Emerging markets seem to be a very crowded field right now with many players in them. How do you compete in this kind of environment?
Firstly, you need to be differentiated. Emerging markets, by some act of providence, grows all the agricultural commodities that we are interested in. And we differentiate in two areas. One is we out-origin our competition. We go and buy from the lowest level of aggregation possible at the farm gate. Most of our competitors buy at the port city. 2/3 of the profit pool is between the farm gate and the port city. The second point of differentiation is we provide various value-added solutions and services to our customers, like organically certified raw materials. We'll give them organic cocoa, coffee, cashew, we get a premium. We provide them traceability guarantees. We guarantee to them that the raw materials that we supply to them are sourced from plantations where there's no forced labor, no child labor. That's extremely important for them. When they ask our competitors to provide those guarantees, they turn around and say we buy 1,000 kilometers away from the farm gate.
So there's a very strong CSR dimension to what you do.
Which is integrated with our business model. But that allows us to get some pricing power, because in the commodity business, both as supplier, we are price takers, and as a customer, even our largest customer is a price taker, because there's a transparent discovery price mechanism. So to get pricing power, you have to embed some value-added services, and we provide 7 or 8 different value-added services today that gives us this pricing power.
As you know, we've seen this extraordinary volatility in the commodity markets. When do you see prices reaching some sort of stability?
I believe that structurally commodity prices are poised to be going higher over a secular time period, and I'm talking about a 10-year time period. I think the fundamental factors that drive supply and demand of these commodities are still very intact. So if you look at on the demand side, the fact that 80 million people are being added to the world every year, and that means more mouths to feed. If you look at the fact that per capita incomes and per capita consumption is growing in a lot of the transitioning economies, which means more demand for agricultural raw materials. If you look at the biofuel industry, the demand for agricultural raw materials, that's a new source of demand for agricultural raw materials. That's a new source of demand for agricultural raw materials.
Let's talk about a very worrying recent development, and that is the rise, the intensification of piracy off the east coast of Africa. We saw the high-profile hijacking and seizure of the Sirius Star. Clearly that's an issue that affects and concerns you, given the fact that you are responsible for supply chain management of commodities that are grown, produced in Africa.
In terms of ensuring shipping routes might mean more freight costs to both the user as well as the shipper, but I think it is inevitable that if you want to keep the sea routes open and you don't want this problem to get to a stage where they can do it with this impunity.
And higher input costs if vessels now have to make the elongated journey around the southern tip of Africa as opposed to going through the Gulf of Aden and Suez. Are Olam chartered vessels having to make that voyage because
not
of the
as
increased
yet, not as yet, but it will be really the decision of the vessel owner, and we might be forced to take that detour, and in which case it means increased costs for everybody.
Let's talk about your earnings. 62% surge in net profit to around 15 million Singapore dollars in the first quarter of fiscal 2009. With the downturn, are you hoping that you can sustain profits of that magnitude?
Oh, no, the first quarter, ours is a seasonal business. The first quarter typically accounts for between 5 and 10% of our full year earnings. So it is not a very material quarter. If you look at our guidance, we don't give short-term or annual guidance or even quarterly guidance. We only give medium-term guidance. And our medium-term goal is to grow top line in terms of volume growth at between 16 and 20% CAGR over the next 3 years, and bottom line at between 25 and 30% CAGR over the next 3 years. We believe that even under these stressed market conditions, we will be at the bottom end of that range. And given the diversified business model that we have, and given the nature of participation, we should be still able to deliver within that range, but more towards the bottom end of the range in the current financial year.
好，请不要走开。稍后，奥兰国际有限公司的 CEO Sonny Verghese 将告诉大家，他是否担心公司被收购。亚洲经营者马上回来。这里是亚洲经营者。新加坡奥兰国际有限公司从一家小型的腰果供应商发展到今天50亿美元规模的企业，这其中 CEO Sonny Verghese 发挥了至关重要的作用。现在，他的任务是在前所未有的行业波动中为公司把握航向。
I've got to ask you, the 60% plunge in your share price since the beginning of this year, does that not concern you? Does that not worry you that it makes you vulnerable to a takeover, especially given the very unique business model that you've been talking about, a takeover from one of the bigger players in the industry, a Bungay, a Cargill, a Louis Dreyfus?
Firstly, it is true that our share prices have come off 60%, but it has to be seen in the context of the fact that equity markets across the globe has been sold off. While we are worried about our weaker share prices, we should be more worried if we believe that our fundamental intrinsic value is deteriorating. We believe that we're building enormous intrinsic value, and we believe that the markets are currently dislocated and significantly undershooting our intrinsic value. If we continue to do the good things and continue to do and execute on our plans and build fundamental intrinsic value, the market will eventually reflect the fundamental interest. So our objective is to maximize the value of the continuing shareholder.
Can I ask whether you've received any takeover approaches?
I'm not too worried about a takeover unless it is going to be in the best interest of our shareholders and the best interests of employee shareholders. Employees have 16% of the company.
You've won one of Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year awards. What sort of management style do you think you'll practice during these uncertain times?
Firstly, I think leadership style, the soul of that style should be consistent across times, across cycles. While there is situational leadership styles in terms of, at times you have to be firm and assertive, and at times you have to be more participative, democratic. But really the soul of the leadership style in terms of your concern for people, your ability to set direction, and therefore I think for me in any leadership model there are 4 elements. One is you need to provide thought leadership to the business. You need to provide effective relationship leadership and provide the pace and tone on how those collaborative relationships should be built is another dimension for leadership. The third is results leadership. You cannot just say that if the processes are all right, the outcomes will take care of itself. You have to be burdened by the fact that you must generate those outcomes, and there must be an equal emphasis on both the right institutionalized processes but also the outcomes. And finally, it is about action leadership. So you need to take the actions and the decisions to look at the long-term sustainable prosperity of the company.
好，刚才我们采访的是奥兰国际有限公司的 CEO Sonny Verghese。我们今天的节目到这儿就要结束了。如果想要了解更多亚洲商界精英的传奇故事，敬请在下周同一时间继续关注《亚洲经营者》。好，感谢收看，我是崔燕，我们下周同一时间再见。